Well, for the latest events in Greece, I'm joined in the studio by Marco Vicenzino, the Director of Global Strategy Project, a geopolitical risk analysis firm. Marco, thanks very much indeed for coming in. So why are these proposed reforms, then, of the Greek economy proving so tough to negotiate?
In recent years, what Greece has been experiencing is not just recession, it's full economic depression. So when this government, the CDSI government, came into power in late January of 2015, it won on an anti-austerity ticket. Now, obviously, on that anti-austerity ticket, it made many promises which it cannot keep, and it's struggling to keep. And it also has 1/3 of its own party that's hardcore left, that's very much against conceding anything when it comes to pension cuts or increases in taxes. So there's certain red lines this government can't really cross. Like I said, pensions is one of the main ones, the cuts in the pensions. At the same time, you have creditors having their own demands that together it seems like they're operating in different universes. And Tsipras, I think Tsipras himself would like to cut a deal and would have cut a deal already, but it's just that fear of his party breaking up, of this government falling, and he's struggling. He's walking a tightrope right now, and we're seeing is that it's ending, that sort of that game of brinksmanship is drawing to a conclusion.
And the consequences if no deal is struck at this meeting tomorrow, what do you think that could mean for the Greek economy? Could the financial system crash? Could all the banks have their money taken out?
I mean, it's definitely a reality. It's one would have to see is that if a deal is not reached, it doesn't mean automatic exit from the Eurozone. It would include things like defaults, imposition of capital controls. You can see possibly the introduction of a parallel currency, and then eventually you would have the process of exiting the euro, which is uncharted territory. But I think in this sense, I mean, you look at within the last week, there's $6 billion that have exited Greek banks. Yeah. Yeah. That sense of panic is beginning to set in. Now, I would say is that the current Greek government, if a deal is not, they got to bear in mind certain dates. On Monday, June 22nd, meeting in Brussels. The summit. Now, if a deal is not reached tomorrow, then there's going to be another meeting of European heads of state scheduled for Thursday, June 25th. Although the agenda for that meeting was about to be Europe's economic future, it may wind up being Greece again, because if nothing is reached on the first meeting. If nothing is reached on that Thursday, you hit the June 30th date, which is the $1.5 billion that's due to the IMF. And then in addition, on July 20th, there's another date, which is $3.5 billion that's owed to Europe. So as a result, you see these dates. What happens exactly between them, one can debate, but at least there's some sort of roadmap and understanding the process of a possible Grexit.
Yeah, and like you say about the brinkmanship with the main players involved here, the Eurozone leaders, Tsipras of Greece and maybe Jean-Claude Juncker of the European Commission. No one really can be seen to be backing down, can they? There's a sort of a strongman approach to everyone's negotiation here.
For the past 5 months, a lot of precious time has been wasted. From the creditors' perspective, they'll make the point that really the Tsipras government has not been serious about negotiations. And it got to the point where in recent days, the head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, she made a request. We need some adults in the room. So if it's getting to that point, you know things are very serious. Right now, over the weekend, Merkel, together with Hollande, Chancellor Merkel and President Hollande of France, have made it clear that at the June 22nd meeting in Brussels, when there's a summit, it begins at 12 in the afternoon when all the monitors get together and all the officials get together to try to hammer out finally a deal. At 7 p.m. on June 22nd, there's going to be a meeting, a summit of all the official heads of state. But they've already made it clear that by the time that they reach that summit at 7 p.m., a deal better be done. There's going to be no negotiations directly between the heads of state, which Tsipras was looking for. So in this sense, it's a great situation. It's coming. It's drawing to a conclusion, the whole process. I don't want to say the game's up, but the game is almost up.
And you know, it's very interesting, like you say, it's very dramatic. It's all coming down to these last few days, essentially to the end of June. Do you think that we could see Greece move towards a closer tie or a closer relationship with Russia? We saw Tsipras in St. Petersburg this week, didn't we?
Traditionally, Russia and Greece have had very close relations over the years. It goes back over 1,000 years when Greek missionaries converted Russia to Christian Orthodoxy. Then you see during the Cold War period, you see Greece's far left, many of which constitute members of the current government, had close relations to the Soviet Union. So you do have these links. Obviously, Greece, in Cold War terminology, Greece was a frontline state. geographically very, very important and very strategic. And in recent times, you've had a resumption of what we could say a Cold War, a Cold Peace. The fear of many in the West is that there'll be a break in this Western unity, particularly if you're looking at, say, European sanctions on Russia, and all member states must agree on renewing the sanctions. And if there's one link that refuses to do so, i.e. beating Greece, that can break European unity. From a U.S. perspective, although they've been quite quiet behind the scenes, asking for a deal to be done and for Greece, the solution for the Greek problem, quote unquote, the Greek problem be taken care of, now the Americans are becoming more vocal. They don't look at it only from an economic perspective, but from a geopolitical perspective. So in this sense, you have various dimensions to this Greek crisis. Within Europe, obviously, the global economy, and then also within the geopolitical sphere.
Marco, great to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.